ABC 15 Live Desk, Danielle, an update everybody on the story I told you about a few minutes ago. This is now new information as we're now hearing from neighbors out of Tucson after some shocking messages are displayed in graffiti across an entire neighborhood. I'll show you the video right now. The disturbing sight here in one Tucson neighborhood certainly has residents talking. ISIS-inspired messages on walls and cars. Spray painted there in that black paint. Phrases like destroy the government, attack cops, and one nobody wants to ever see, you are not safe. Residents so upset here they didn't want their faces to be seen.
It's beyond horrible. You can't joke about people dying. There's no time that can pass that can make jokes like this jokes.
This morning, we've learned there were other messages as well, such as there are bombs everywhere. Deputies from the Pima County Sheriff's Department are not taking this lightly. They have now surveyed the area. The investigation continues at this hour. Another situation where we are expecting an update at any moment, Danielle.
To Europe now, and the issue of sexual assaults on women came to the fore again in Cologne, in Germany, when a reporter was groped while covering carnival festivities. The reporter for a Belgian television station was kissed, taunted and inappropriately touched while doing her report. She yelled at the men and they eventually fled. Hundreds of women in Cologne claimed they were groped or robbed on New Year's Eve. Many blamed Arab or North African-looking men. The reporter in the latest case said the men spoke German.
Scottsdale saying okay to Satanists. A city spokesperson says a group called the Satanic Temple asked yesterday to give an invocation at a council meeting. Mayor said, okay, this is going to happen now on April 5th. We're working to see if this is the same group that's been trying to lead an opening prayer at the Phoenix City Council for some time now.
The sheriff of York County and Poquoson in Virginia is adding In God We Trust to his patrol cars. Here's a photo Sheriff J.D. Diggs posted on the county's Facebook page showing the new decal. He says his goal is not to offend anyone but to honor God, and that posting our national motto, quote, does not injure or threaten anyone. He continues, it is not an attempt to urge anyone to support or convert to any one religion. It is our national motto. No court anywhere in the United States has ever held public posting of In God We Trust violates the Constitution.
This is out of the Daily Mail. Iraqi migrant rapes a 10-year-old boy at a swimming pool in Vienna and tells police it was a sexual emergency because he hadn't had sex in months. This is not out of the Onion, this is a real story. And again, it's absolutely tragic. A 10-year-old boy was so brutally raped by an Iraqi migrant in a swimming pool cubicle, and again, this is in Austria, that he had to be hospitalized for his injuries. A lifeguard immediately called an ambulance after the boy went to him in floods of tears, while the Iraqi was entertaining himself by repeatedly jumping off the 3-meter diving board. So this migrant rapes a child in the locker room, and it's so normal to him, it's so routine, and it's so justifiable because he hadn't had sex in months. That just means he can go and rape children and destroy their lives forever. He was so nonplussed by it, he didn't even try to escape. After raping a child, he went back to the swimming pool. Police arrested him on the spot at the pool in Vienna, and during an interrogation he told them that it was a sexual emergency as he had not had sex in 4 months. Again, this is what we're hearing out of these migrant camps. I get sent stories by people every single week. There was another one in Sweden recently where these rapes aren't being reported because in some cases, the victims sympathize with the rapist. This is why they call it Stockholm Syndrome, which has now become Cologne Syndrome after the mass molestation of women on New Year's Eve. So these volunteers in the migrant camps, the victims of rapes, are actually refusing to report them to police, refusing to give their testimony to the media, because they say the migrants are traumatized and they're just raping people because of the trauma that they were escaping. Even though the vast majority of them aren't even fleeing ISIS, they're not fleeing a war zone. Many of them are economic migrants who are flooding into Europe to claim benefits.
And finally, the UN has warned that over 58,000 children will starve to death in Somalia if they are not provided with urgent support. The UNHCR for Somalia added that more than 300,000 children under the age of 5 are acutely malnourished. According to the World Body, nearly 1 million people are struggling every day to meet their food needs. The UN also says that 4.7 million people, or nearly 40% of Somalia, are in need of aid. The grim assessment comes amid severe drought in the impoverished, war-torn country. Around 4 years ago, intense drought and war sparked a famine, killing more than 250,000 people.
An Australian missionary has been set free after being held hostage by the Islamic terrorists in the West African country of Burkina Faso. Missionary Jocelyn Elliott was set free on Sunday, but her husband, Surgeon Ken Elliott, remains captive.
I can confirm that Mrs. Jocelyn Elliott has been released to Australian officials in Niger. I spoke with her this morning. She was well, she was relieved, she was very tired. Our overriding concern now is for her husband, Dr. Kenneth Elliott. He has not yet been released.
The couple was captured when Islamic terrorists attacked the capital of Burkina Faso, killing 30 people. Al-Qaeda's North African branch claims responsibility for that attack. The Elliots are both in their 80s. They've been running a medical clinic in Burkina Faso for 4 decades.
Are you serious? Are you serious? NASA bans the word Jesus. Are you serious? NASA kicks Jesus out of NASA? Here's a question. Did NASA ever have Jesus? Some of the people did. Matter of fact, there's quite a few Christians that work at NASA, and they're not happy. Matter of fact, the name of Jesus is no longer welcomed in the Johnson Space Center newsletter, according to a complaint filed on behalf of a group of Christians who work for NASA. They're upset, folks. The JSC Praise and Worship Club was directed by NASA attorneys to refrain from using the name Jesus in club announcements that appears in the Space Center newsletter. It was shocking to all of us and very frustrating, said a NASA engineer, Sophie Smith. NASA has a long history of respecting religious speech. Why wouldn't they allow us to put the name of Jesus in the announcement about our club? Well, I can tell you why, Sophie. This name is the most powerful name that's ever been spoken. And this name is going to be the controversy of the world. It is part of the rise of the beast. The Antichrist will not allow Christ to be anywhere in that new world order. This is something the Illuminati's been after for a long time. And as we go forward with a one world government, a new world order, the beast that's rising in Revelation 13, verse 1, the name of Jesus may be eventually, and I believe will be, completely outlawed from the planet. Although those of us who've been saved by grace, we will continue to speak the name of Jesus, to preach the word of Jesus, to lead people to salvation through the name of Jesus. I mean, we're going to proclaim it from the top of the mountains, Jesus. Because Jesus saves, Jesus heals, Jesus delivers. I believe in the name of Jesus.